This is a review of our session we had on Wednesday for our Wisdom Wednesday we do every week with the Century 21 Millennium Agents for Brampton and Orangeville. This particular session was on summer business planning, and really just wanted to bring some tips to you, to the agents who are going through the summer months, juggling some family activities, enjoying the weather that we probably get 2 months of the year in Canada. And you want to take advantage of that, but you definitely don't want to take your foot off the pedal of all the work you've been doing for the year up until this point. This period during the summer months really is the opportunity for top performers to keep going, connect with new individuals, get those referrals, but really make sure that you're making the most out of all of your activities, of course, with your loved ones, your friends, your family, but also making sure that for the fall market about to approach, you are ready with those opportunities and those clients to serve in any market that we are engaged with. So here we go. As I did mention, summer is really about having fun with friends, with family, enjoying yourselves with this beautiful weather that we get here in Southern Ontario, which really comes, we get maybe 8 weeks. If we're lucky, we can squeeze 10 in total. Beautiful, beautiful weather. And we want to make the most of that time, again, with our important relationships with our families. If you have the little children, they'll be picking at you, making sure that you are taking them out to all these beautiful destinations in the GTA area, and rightfully so. But while we're doing these events and while we're actually enjoying ourselves, the top performers in any real estate brokerage will be thinking in the back of their mind, how can I meet a new friend today that could use my service in the future? And that's, I've got this screen up here in our Brampton and our Orangeville office. These are our top performers. I expect these top performers throughout the entire year. You're always going to have some ebbs and flows. You're always going to have moments where you got your foot to the pedal, going as fast as you can. Even a little bit in the summertime, we might pick up a little bit, as a real estate agent should. Take some time with friends and family and really do what is good for your well-being, for your mental health. This is all important. We work hard and we need to play hard as well too. But in the back of your mind, you have a business that you need to run as well too. So I use these folks as examples. They will keep that in mind as top performers. How can I connect with someone in a sincere relationship, and where we can work together in the future, either purchasing real estate or selling their real estate. Just a bit of reminder, my audience, I'm assuming, is already in real estate, whether you're with Century 21 or a different brokerage. This message here with regards to market trends, there's a reason why a spring market and a fall market get little kind of highs there, and they're typically focused around many things like schools, vacations, the weather, of course, in July and August. Individuals would rather do the transition during that time, and you will see placements, closings in July and August at the beginning of that summer or the end of the summer, getting ready for the school year, getting ready for different stages. This market trend here, of course, just shows the high of a spring market. And then as well, the number of transactions, although low in July and August, you will see those start to peak back up in September and October. So during the summer months, you'll see a little bit slowdown of the actual transactions taking place, but you will see a pickup in the fall. And it is in the fall that individuals will think about selling their house for that higher value that the market could bring in return. Between 2013 and 2019, home sales on average 75% higher during these peak periods. And seasonality was driven because of the holidays, because of weather, in traditional school years, as I mentioned. And families with, of course, school-age children tend to move in the summer to avoid disrupting their children's school year. All makes sense. This screen does, of course, kind of just echo the number of transactions during various periods. We see a low in number of transactions in the summer, and we see a bit of a bump in the fall market, and then we get into the December, January markets, which tend to be a little bit slower as well too. So just covering some points here. Listings rarely just fall out of the sky ready to hit the market. So as an agent, you must be working the process. This is a business, and many people, it takes some time to really understand that this is truly a business. You are the one in charge. There's no one telling you what to do. No one is driving you with that whip behind you to get to work. You got to do it yourself. So this is just a reminder, you have to put the work ethic into it. Fundamentals of real estate, they really do still apply. I will kind of review the fundamentals of real estate. We'll go through that. Another thing, if you're a real estate agent that hasn't had that professional sales training in a previous life, let's say, maybe you were a salesperson in corporate sales, selling photocopy machines, you would have done some training understanding the concept of what a sales funnel is. It takes time from when you meet a person and transition them into a particular client. That could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. So there's a natural progression for each individual depending where they are at with their purchasing choices or sales choices. And this summer, again, we really focus on the marketing for the business efforts that will bring us the returns in the future. We, in the business of real estate, will prefer focusing on listings. This is where a professional really can control not just their time, but the marketing efforts that are required for that transaction. Looking for just buyers in a marketplace, you're a little bit out of balance with your time management, and really it is the sales professional that controls the listing that does control that market. So let's just review the fundamentals. I truly believe are required to understand in the business of real estate. This is a chart I put together. I'm a big believer in database, and regardless of your preference right now of how you're marketing, it is undeniable that anywhere between 80 to 90% of a real estate agent's business does come from their sphere of influence. And that sphere of influence, we refer in the business of real estate, putting together a database of those individuals, which we call advocates. Individuals that if you asked them, if you knew anybody that was going to purchase or sell real estate, would I be the person that you would refer them to? If the answer is yes, this is an advocate. This is someone that is looking to support you. And those are individuals that, again, we want to be top of mind with them. If they do come across somebody that does need your services, hopefully they will remember you and pass your information along. How we do that, as I mentioned, we want to be top of mind. There is a series of steps, marketing pieces we would like to put in front of them, whether they're phone calls, whether they're newsletters that we're putting out, maybe they are emails that we're putting out. There is a process, we call that the marketing process to your database we need to consider. And here are just a few of those as an example a real estate agent will set up within their system. This is your marketing to the people that know you, like you, and trust you. Again, these are your advocates. We start here because, as I mentioned, 80 to 90% of real estate agents' business comes from that sphere of influence. So let's tackle that piece of the pie first, and then we'll look at other marketing initiatives or silos of income or leads that we can invest into. We get our database down first. We send them newsletters. We do pop-bys. We make the phone calls. We'll send them email campaigns. We'll do a series of things to them. We manage this through the CRM, the Content Resource Management System, or Customer Relation Management System. There are a variety of these systems that are out there. I don't believe there is a perfect one. I believe that within the business of real estate, a lot of these CRM systems tend to be the medium in which communication is best focused to that individual person. Not all people are receiving information at the same level. I'm not, for example, always sitting at my computer looking at my emails. I might get inundated with emails, so it may not be a good idea to send Trevor an email and expect me to reply to it. But hey, a newsletter to my house that is custom and directly to me, I might be opening that a little bit more frequently than a communication. But in the principles of marketing, which you may already know, typically a person, a stranger, needs to see your message 7, 8 times before they go, I'm going to give that person a call for the needs or services that I require. And that's what a database and the systems around that database will actually do. Once a real estate agent has identified who their advocates are and the systems, and they are set up, those systems are set up, hopefully they are automatic. Some of them you will from time to time be interacting with, but this is your foundation, and this is step one for a realtor to complete. Once this is done, then you can consider other silos of lead generation. For example, farming, working by referral, your social media, which has really taken off in the last few years for real estate agents, cold calling, what a concept, that's still available, open houses, and then your website. There are many other silos of lead generations that a realtor can capture, but for each of these silos of marketing, they do require time, effort, and money. And before you go out and spend that time, effort, and money, again, since 80 to 90% of your business typically comes from your sphere of influence, I know I say that a lot, but that's important to start with that big piece of that pie. Then you can go on to these other silos, being confident whichever lead I get, say from farming, what am I doing with that person? They go into my database and they go through my systems. When you hear realtors or managers or broker owners talk to you about the systems of a realtor's business, and this is what they're talking about. The goal within any realtor's span of the real estate business, at the beginning, of course, there is an excess amount of time and money a realtor will need to spend. The wish, the hope, is after a period of time, and I use the example of 10 years, you can, in the business of real estate, and there are a few industries that allow you to do this, you can, in a concept, the business gets easier and it does come to you a lot quicker than when you started at the beginning. It's because you're building that trust. It's because you're building that fundamental connection. People do business with people they like, of course. People do business with people that have strong, good character they can relate to, okay, from a value standpoint, etc. And then they do business with people that have strong competence. And the marrying of those two, typically 60% competence, 40% character within the business of real estate, it is very important, and that is what we're focused on. We build that competence, of course, through the initiatives of marketing and through other experiences, of course, you have with your client. It takes time, as you know, to build a good reputation, and it can take a moment to ruin that reputation as well. So this is just an important overview of, I believe, the fundamentals that every realtor should be focused on when they are thinking of building a business plan. It is really the marketing business plan that you need to be focused on. And of course, there is many other components that I really just want to touch on. Before I jump onto those really 5 tips that I want to talk about today, this is important as well too. I had a colleague of mine send this off. Again, you can see at the bottom of this chart here, past clients, buyers and sellers, even referrals. These are high conversion rates that as a realtor, this is where I choose to spend my time. A business plan or a marketing plan allows you to focus. If I have limited time or money, where is the greatest return on my investment? Because although with the rules of business 101, it is to make money, it is to turn a profit. We don't do this just because we are nice or we enjoy the process, although that has to be there. Understanding your why as to what you're doing this for, which we'll chat about, is just as important. But the money, as running a business, is one of the fundamentals. It must make money, it must make return. A conversion rate, for example, whether it be direct mail or internet leads that you're receiving, imagine making phone calls of 1,600 phone calls to get that one transaction. That's a lot of time to invest in order to get a small return or any return for that matter. There are efficiencies we need to consider. And again, when you look at those past buyers, clients, sellers, and referrals, those are important. The first thing with any business plan, and many of you, of course, already know this, you need to be setting goals within your business plan, production goals, and really you must be specific. What income do you have in mind? Even if you are doing a business plan in the summer, you want to be looking, you can break this out, whether it be monthly, for the quarter, for the entire year for that matter. You must be specific with that amount of money that you are looking to achieve. What about, I mean, let's go for $100,000, let's go for $30,000. That's not specific. And the goal has to be and must have direction, accountability, and a deadline to that. Very important. Here are just a couple of videos I think do a really good job of communicating different types of goals, and especially whether it's as we are going to be looking at the different types of goal, whether it be the wildly important goal, or most recently from Jim Collins' communication, the big, hairy, audacious goals that we need to consider. But these are important fundamentals. I think every real estate agent really needs to be reminded from time to time. We need to set those goals. If it is written, so shall it be done. We need to be specific. They need to be attainable, and they need to be done within a period of time as well too. So let's just take a look at some of these videos and we'll discuss on the other end.
I want to talk to you about creating your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal. This is something that you set that's on the limits of what you think is possible, that you can systematically pursue. There is nothing more rewarding than accomplishing a goal that others think aren't possible. The BHAG comes from the concept in Jim Collins' book, Built to Last: Successful Habits of Visionary Companies. According to Collins, a BHAG is a long-term goal that challenges the very nature of what's possible. Like a moon mission, a real BHAG is clear and compelling and serves you as a unifying focal point of effort, often creating immense pride. It has a distinct finish line, so you know when the goal is reached. BHAGs are bigger, bolder, and more powerful than regular long or short-term goals. There's a term called decaders. Decaders are people who look in decades instead of months or years. There's a great quote by Bill Gates where he says, people often overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, but they underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade or a lifetime. So don't measure yourself in these short time frames. Set a big, hairy, audacious goal that you could march for the next decade. You'll be amazed at what you can accomplish if you have clarity of vision and a clear direction. Those of us crazy enough to think we can change the world are the ones who do. We've created a couple tools that I think are really going to help. We've got a video on setting SMART goals, and then we've created your big, hairy, audacious goal worksheet to help you work out what your BHAG is. I would definitely recommend you read Built to Last, which is where this term comes from, and then the 4 Agreements and the Tipping Point, along with a few other books that we've recommended. Everybody here at Oak is really excited to help you be the happiest, most productive version of yourself.
SMART goals. SMART goals is a term used to help narrow down all those big ideas we have floating around our brain into achievable actions. The acronym SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The idea is that when you establish precise details and, of course, give yourself a deadline, you create a clear plan which will lead you to your ideal result. Think of it as turn-by-turn instructions on your navigation versus just searching a broad geographical map.
One of the big misnomers about the why is it's only about our work. It's not. It's about who we are. Oh, hi there. Didn't see you. When I originally learned my why, it literally changed my life. I stopped talking about what I did and started talking about what I believed. It was amazing how powerful this why statement became as a filter for even the kinds of people I wanted to work with. I never imagined being an author. Nothing changed. I was the same idiot as I was before. The only thing that changed is I learned how to start with why. The whole point of this is to now live our lives with purpose, on purpose. And the journey is remarkable.
I think each of those videos really do speak for themselves. I think at times as realtors, we can be guilty of not dreaming big enough. And actually, but more importantly, as with the big, hairy, audacious goals, we're not thinking long term enough as well too. A lot of times a realtor will get into the business of real estate, and within the first 3 to 6 months they become extremely discouraged and frustrated because they didn't look at this as a long enough plan within their business. It will typically take real estate agents a couple of years before they really find their legs under themselves and start to run in this business. And it is really that period between that 2 to 5 years that you really start to see the potential, in my experience as a realtor, with that gross commission income that you're looking for. I do think it's important, the individual chatting about SMART goals, and be very specific on those goals. Keep it simple. And it's very important to understand how to set those SMART goals. And then finally, you heard Simon, who many people, of course, know Simon very well. My favorite phrase in that video that he mentioned was, you know, he's the same idiot before he started versus after. But understanding your why can be just as important as how we set those goals or what those goals are. If it's not strong enough, if that why is not strong enough, and it does have to be beyond the dollars in this business. There's a great quote that I mentioned on Wisdom Wednesday this week. For many of you, if you're Rocky Balboa fans, in the movie Rocky 5, Rocky is having a conversation with his son. And so many of us remember that scene where Rocky says to his son, life is not about how hard you hit. It really is about how hard you can get hit, knocked down, and get back up again. And as I said in the meeting, I get chills and goosebumps on my neck. I'm doing it again on this call.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
It is something that we all experience, whether in the business of real estate or just our general lives. This life is not easy. So what you do and why you do it has to be strong enough. You have to have that strong purpose behind you. So I think those 3 videos are quite valuable to understand. Many agents, if they've been in the business for some time, do forget that in order to get to a new destination, or even if you are a new agent, in order to get to a new destination, you have to know where you're starting from. What is your starting point in order to get to that aspiring big goal that you have? So understanding where you are today, understand what you've done in the last year and how you actually came to that. Analyzing the statistics of that is extremely important. And I do encourage, whether you're at the Century 21 Millennium brokerage or another brokerage, make sure you reach out to your brokerage to get the statistics or get the numbers, and be really clear and accurate with those numbers. How much did you make last year? Oh, I think I made around $50,000. Don't think about it. Don't guess it. Go get those numbers. That's essential. Being specific and being accurate is very important. Feelings in business, although instinct and reactions, that's important, but we are very logical with our numbers, especially when setting goals. We need to be accurate. As I mentioned to you, there are many different softwares out there, CRM systems. These are just a few. I'm very familiar with some of these more than others. These are all great products for the right person. And it's difficult to decide which platforms, as far as my systems go, and how am I tracking my clients. I think a system that does, a CRM system that does have a sales funnel report, understanding what's going to be closing or coming down the pipeline in the next 30, 60, 90 days, it is essential for a salesperson to understand that. All of our marketing dollars or efforts, time or money, should be focused around those 3 months that will be the biggest impact to our business. An opportunity where someone, your neighbor, is going to be moving over the next couple of months, talking about that. The actions, the signatures are going to be done very quickly. And at times you might think, wow, that happened really fast. And it does. Once that decision is made, a client, buyer, or seller will move fast on that. So tracking these activities and these relationships are essential. And I will point out, I've got a couple social media platform images there. These are as much CRM systems as these others that might be a little bit more formal. For many of the realtors today, their Instagram, their Facebook, their LinkedIn accounts actually are more effective CRMs than some of these other platforms. They, of course, will not give that sales funnel report, give the tracking of notes and updates there, and that's why pulling some of these other software service products into your systems are essential as well too. But these are all customer relation management systems. I definitely do use many of these. Core daily activities. What is your professional business standards? The standards you hold yourself to. How many calls are you doing? How many pop-bys? How many personal notes? How many lunches? Your setting up your schedule is probably one of the most challenging tasks a realtor has to do, especially during the summer months when the activities, the marketing activities, both for your business, but the activities for your friends and family enjoying these summer months are very important. This is just a cute video that I'm sure you've all seen. The expectation of door knocking versus reality, but keep in mind, this is, although we're having a bit of a laugh on this, whether you are door knocking, you are messaging, you are doing flyer drops, you are servicing leads that come in from your website, at some point a real estate agent needs to get nose to nose and toes to toes with their sellers and buyers. This is a full contact sport, and at some point you will need to get interacting with that client. For those of you who are introvert, and although I tend to be an extrovert, I do have days where I do feel quite introvert, and this is the challenge for most of us agents to get inspired and to get out there. Action creates the results. And I do like this video, and there's one extreme to the other. I do need to say that. There is an expectation we have when we go to the door and we talk to someone for the first time, but then there's that reality. And I would say the truth is somewhere in between. Let's have a listen.
Can I help you?
Hey, sir. My name's Ryan. I'm a local realtor. We're just hitting the streets, knocking on doors, seeing if you were interested in selling.
Sell our house? I mean, I wasn't planning on it, but since you're here, yeah, why not?
Great. I actually have the listing papers right here, and here's a pen.
Whoa, hold on there, pal. How much does your company charge for commission? Because I'm not paying a dime above 8%.
I mean, I'll have to talk to my manager, but I'm sure we can get them down to 7.5 for you.
That's what I like to hear. Marge, pack up the kids' shit. We're selling the house. Who are you?
Oh, hi. I'm a local realtor.
What do you want?
We're just knocking on doors, seeing if you were interested in selling your home.
Get the fuck out of here.
A cute video. So many of us realtors, that reality part, that last part, are afraid of just that. In my experience, that really does not happen very often. And when it does, it is fairly obvious the reasons why that is happening. An individual is having a difficult day. They've had some experiences in the past. But I can tell you with great confidence, the reality is truly in between both of those extremes. Nobody's signing signatures when they get to the door, of course, with a pen at 7.5%, and no one is telling you to get off their property. So the reality really is in between. Whatever the action you are doing, scheduling that as a routine is essential in your business plan. It's essential in your day-to-day. I always tell people, we got to start somewhere. Let's start and keep it very simple. Let's do one marketing initiative that will generate a new relationship. That's our goal for the day, just one. That does not include, I'm going to go do a listing presentation that I already had scheduled, or I'm going to go do some showings that I already had scheduled. No, 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 no. Those are reaction to your efforts in your business. We have to go back fishing every single day to the pond to get a new fish, as an analogy. But that's what we're trying to do. And if we can get one new relationship every single day, that is sincere. That is not something where we are just coming on to them for that transaction. If if they connect with you over time period, there will be a natural progression of a business transaction. If it's based on your character and your competence and the two meet. The goal is not to be as aggressive in this day and age in 2023. We are inundated with information. And so the experience a realtor brings to the table is just as important, if not more important, than the actual tasks or steps that need to take place. Because there are a lot of options out there. People do business with people they like and they trust. And that's what we're building in our business. Profit and loss statements, of course, we're gonna look at from a business standpoint, the numbers do matter. You cannot have a profitable business or a successful life if you spend more than what you're bringing in. And although many of you may argue that you do absolutely need to invest into the business, we still need to be responsible to our business as we are doing that startup. If you don't have those tens of thousands of dollars to invest in farming, that's okay. We're starting at a different point. And that's why business planning, depending on the agent and where they're at and what they have as far as resources, it is very one-on-one. It is a one-on-one conversation and experience that you need to have with your manager. So I think this is a cute video, a little facetious. I want to be a billionaire. How do I become a billionaire?
Curtis,
What's up?
I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad.
Okay, to the calculator. So you want to be a billionaire? How freaking bad? As an example, you're 22 years old, you just graduated from college. Here's all you have to do. Start at 22, live to 90, no dying before 90 years old, and save $30,000 per month. If you can do this, you can be a billionaire by your 90th birthday. That's all you gotta do, guys. I'm Curtis Ray. Let's become billionaires.
A cute video. I don't necessarily endorse this gentleman here. I just thought the message was fantastic. It's so easy to become a billionaire. All you got to do is save $30,000 every single month, starting at 22, and you got to make sure not to die until you're 90 years old. Quite facetious, but this is one of the biggest challenges. As we did our kickoff in February of 2023, we had 3 messages we wanted to chat with agents about their how to generate revenue, leads, and business income to their businesses. The second was, what is the transfer of knowledge, the information you need to learn as professional salespeople. But the third, which is really, I think, the struggle, not just for realtors, but for most people, and that's managing your personal finances. And this is something that we really do spend quite a bit of time, whether you're looking at income properties for your clients and transferring that knowledge, how that needs to work, or whether it be looking at your investing in RSPs, budgeting yourself, or this is a wonderful spreadsheet that Chris Leader's program does offer. If you want to make $100,000, what are the steps you need to do in order to do that? This comes with a budget. There are many different resources. Enrich Academy is another one that we definitely do endorse. They've got wonderful programs there. There are many tools for agents to use, but they do need to use those, and it is one thing I think they tend to stay away from. Don't hide from that. Usually when I write down my list of to-dos with my pen on my yellow pad every day, I write down all the most important things. Sometimes I scale them or prioritize them. What's going to make me the most amount of money, or what is the most urgent? Sometimes I'll actually say, which is the one I don't want to do the most, because I tend to procrastinate, or oh, that's going to be really messy. The financing side, I'm guilty of it too. You know, sometimes that's not the fun part, but we've got to look at our expenses and maybe look to curb those, or look to spend a little bit more money depending on where the business is taking us. So very important part. And really the last point that I wanted to bring up to you guys is, again, what are your operating procedures? It must be in writing. When you set that goal and you understand the why and you get great clarity, making sure you have the steps in place so that you're really clear on what needs to happen in order to get that result from all the actions. So get all your processes in writing, prioritize your priorities. As I mentioned, you might have a list of 20 things to do in a day. I start numbering those, which ones are the most important for different reasons, as I mentioned. Yes, learn to delegate, and I think this is important, the ability to delegate. And I have seen agents that delegate a little too much. When it comes to the connection with that client, that consumer, that really is the priority there. And again, if you're with a brokerage, depending on the brokerage you're with, there are items there that you can delegate out to your brokerage to take care of as far as tasks there. I hope this message today it finds you well, and it has been somewhat helpful to bring a little bit of clarity and consider during the summer months as you're doing some business planning. Keep in mind, what are the fundamentals of this business? Our business is the transactions. What are transactions? It's interacting with a person that needs a roof over their head or a change in that. People need three things in this world, I always say. They need food, they need shelter over their head, but they need hope as well too. Those three items there, you're dealing with a person. That is where your highest and best use of your time is invested as a realtor. Hope this video finds you well. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But these are the messages we are chatting about on our Wisdom Wednesdays. I look forward to many more to come.